Alright, one more dive. So icebergs, you know them well, I made 2 videos about it, what of it? And after the second one I thought I was done because, well, most of the entries were just like known stuff or memes. But come on, it's gotta be a trilogy. So the other day I come across this ultimate iceberg image by user Omega32X. As you can see, it's huge and it has a lot of stuff I covered before in my previous videos. So instead of covering those subjects again, I'm going to just skip over them. They will be shown as crossed in the image. However, I will try to add some of my own trivia into the mix. I know my way around the Sonic, so I can give you some intel you might not know. Also, some of the entries are in red, which indicates that they are fake, so I'm also skipping those. So, after some time away, it's time to take another dive into the cold waters of the Sonic Iceberg 3. And Knuckles. This simply refers to the classic Sega Genesis marketing campaign. The Genesis released in 1988-89 in America, and it kind of forced Nintendo to up their game and leave the NES behind. Enter the Super Nintendo. While the SNES was superior to the Genesis in almost every aspect, like sound, graphics and such, it was slower than the Sega console. That's all it took to exploit the hell out of that one spec. Sega was relentless when it came to the blast processing campaign. Your console had better graphics, we're faster though. Your console had better sound, we're faster though. After all, Sega does what Nintendo don't. Dreams Come True is the name of the band behind the soundtrack of the first 2 Sonic games. Specifically Mr. Masato Nakamura. This guy is responsible for Green Hill, Starlight Zone, Spring Yard, Chemical Plant, Casino Night. All of the classic and most memorable songs from Sonic 1 and 2 are what they are thanks to this guy. I mean, he's also responsible for Labyrinth Zone, but whatever. Back in the apocalyptic years of the 2010s, specifically by the end of 2017, this chunky African Knuckles started popping up, asking people if they knew the way. It was an infestation, an invasion. It all started with YouTuber Greg Zilla, who created the look of this character. Quotes like "Do you know the way" come from YouTuber Virtually Bane. Any series about an African kingpin playing Call of Duty. The meme exploded thanks to the wonderful world of VR chat. It was darker times, but we had some laughs along the way. And 100% honest, Knuckles is my favorite character from Fallout. This chunky boy again. During Act 2, you reach a point where the door actually locks behind you and you're seemingly in a dead end with a random red barrel in front of you. There's no clear way out until you realize that if you jump to the barrel and press up and down, slowly but eventually you'll bounce enough to continue the zone. Since this is the only area in the game where this is needed to progress and all of the other barrels before it can be moved by the player, a lot of people got stuck in this segment, me included. Big's Big Fishing Adventure 3 is a fishing game for the PC. It's set during the events of SI2 and it follows Big as he ventures into his fishing adventure. The name Adventure 3 is a nod to the fact that Sega also can count to 3. This game was made in 2016 for the Child's Play charity. It also has 3 separate trailers featuring Frolero, Emmy Jones, and Mike Pollock, and soundtrack composed by Hyper Potions. Subshoes is a shoe brand that was launched in 1997. The shoes had a pretty neat design and are, for some reason, able to grind on rails. Yeah, not too crazy seeing how this was during the extreme era of the 90s. Soap also managed to close a deal with Sega to have Sonic wear the shoes in Sonic Adventure 2. And they look really freaking cool. When I was a kid, I thought this was the new design of Sonic shoes. It was pretty sad when Heroes came out and the shoes went back to normal. Also because it was Heroes. This is a pretty well known now. In Sonic City, if you wait around without pressing a button for about 3 minutes, Sonic will get bored and say and jump off screen, causing an instant game over. Nights into Dreams is a weird action game developed by Sonic Team in 1996 for the Sega Saturn. While Sonic didn't get a mainline game during this era, Nights was the project that the team chose to work on instead, while Sonic X-treme was going through the process of dying in the corner. The game features Knight, a weird Harlequin looking character that flies around doing stuff. He shows up in Sonic Adventure's Casinopolis. This is kinda undeniable. It's pretty safe to say that Sonic took a lot of influence from Dragon Ball Z, with Sonic being the Goku-like characters, Knuckles being the Piccolo, and so on. And that's without mentioning the Super Transformation. I mean, just look at that. When you fuse Sonic and Knuckles with any other Sega Genesis game that isn't Sonic 2 or 3, you'll get Blue Sphere, a collection of random special stages that originate from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. You can have millions of other random stages. In the main menu of the game, you get Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik with the message, "No way? No way!" Special Sonic refers to this weird looking Sonic model for a prototype of Sonic 3D Blast, where he looks derpy as hell. In the Japanese version of Sonic X, Sonic swears. Like actually. The official voice actor for Japanese Sonic, the guy who voiced the character from Adventure 1 to the present, says... Shit! Badass. Sonic's band, no, not that one, refers to this particular image that shows Sonic with his band, composed of Sonic the Hedgehog, Vector the Crocodile, Max the Monkey, Mac the Rabbit, and Hanamichi Sakuragi. This was supposed to be in the sound test of Sonic 1, but it was scrapped. This is a little game the community plays. Go ahead, Google your name with the hedgehog at the end. Do it. Do it. This most likely refers to the plethora of Sonic hack and fan games. Unlike a certain plumber, Sega is pretty chill when it comes to fan works. And the fans don't stop. We got tons and tons of fan games and run hacks. Some are amazing, some have you play as Pepsi killing Jimmy Neutrons. Which is also amazing. This refers to the fact that Shadow was supposed to die at the end of Sonic Adventure 2 and stay dead. That was supposed to be his only game. But because people really dig the character, Sega dialed back and brought the guy back for more games. Which, some might argue, didn't do the character any favors. So, in Sonic City's manual, Amy's name was changed to Sally. This was done to get some tie-in material for, at the time, new Sonic cartoon. The description is literally the same, only changing Amy's name, which is wrong as hell as Amy is clearly not a chipmunk. There's this huge debate in the community debating what's the correct pronunciation of Hydrocity. Is it Hydrocity or Hydrocity? Sonic says are PSA-style segments in the cartoon Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. They wanted Sonic to be a good role model, so they have him give you some advice like don't smoke, don't stay up late, don't get inside washing machines apparently. The most infamous segment is the one about the... which was memed to hell and back by the community and YouTube poopers. Now I don't know if this is a specific quote by someone, but the joke is why would Sonic need a car for all those kart racing games? I mean, he's friggin' Sonic! There's also the design aspect of it. Apparently when people wanted to make a Sonic racing game, they found out that it was pretty hard to make the characters drift without making them look awful. So they gave him his license instead. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine is a puzzle game for the Sega Genesis featuring characters from the animated series Adventures of Sonic. However, that's only in America, and Japan the game was just another Puyo Puyo game. You know, with characters like Satan. My guess is that they just wanted to slap the Sonic IP to get more cash to develop that sick extreme game. In all classic Sonic games, there's a strange mode called Debug Mode, where you can test out elements from the stage you're in and add them however you want. Usually the results are pretty glitchy and fun. In the intro to Sonic Heroes, you see Sonic running in a desert while Tails and Knuckles catch up to him in the tornado. After they all agree to go take on Eggman, they both jump out of the plane and it just goes off screen, most likely crashing and exploding. What the hell, Tails? They never stated the tornado had autopilot. I remember noticing that as a kid as well and finding it really funny. Sammy Classic Sonic Fan is one of the most infamous ex-Sonic YouTubers of the past. His screech-filled rants about Sonic were super cringy and funny to watch. Especially with his catchphrase, "You friggin' fricks." Yeah, at least he's family friendly. Over the years, he seems to have chilled out a bit. He sometimes shows up online to discuss his infamy and to help out with some projects. He actually seems like a pretty cool guy now. Sonic's social media accounts are notorious for being, pretty sassy. Sonic's Twitter specifically really likes to share memes and to engage with the community. Which is always nice to see. They use a lot of the meta humor and current topics to meme out. Which again is just wonderful. Sonic Hedgehog is a bastardization and parody of Sonic. The character is presented and drawn in a very crude and amateurish way. His origins go back to 2010 in a video by Onyx Heart, where they teach you how to draw. This meme was very popular among gaming community, and it actually transcended it, appearing in official Sonic products like Sonic Forces and the 2020 movie. Video game-focused movie Wreck-It Ralph has several cameos from different video game franchises, like Pac-Man, Street Fighter, and Sonic, who actually has a speaking role as a billboard. Sonic returned the favor by having Ralph as a playable character in All-Stars Racing Transformed. And Knuckles is the subtitle to Sonic 3. Separate, you have Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. But by using the power of lock-on technology, you'll have Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And Knuckles. It's just a funny subtitle, kinda feels like you can add it anywhere. And the community did. So, Blazicat is the princess of the Soul Dimension, who is also in charge of protecting the Soul Emeralds. Or she's Silver's friend from the future destroyed by Mephiles. Which one is it, Sega? Back in 2017, to promote Forces, Sega partnered with freaking Hooters during the Tokyo Game Show. People like this. Okay, so Sonic and the Bunch are anthropomorphic animals, but they also live alongside other animals that are just animals. Flickies aren't super stylized version of birds, they're just birds. And don't get me talking about Sonic 06. There's dogs and shit over there. I mean, where's my Hatsune the Pigeon spin-off? Sonic 3D Blast, like all the classic Sonic games, has a level select code, but instead of punching the code during the intro or before the Sega logo, you actually have to legit punch or tap your cartridge. This will cause the level select menu to show up. Apparently this is actually a failsafe to prevent the game from crashing. Since the game had to pass several tests to earn Sega's seal of approval, and they couldn't figure out a way to prevent the game from crashing when tapped, they basically redirected it to this menu, or something like that. Apparently people debate where Sonic CD took place, but it's pretty clear that it took place between 1 and 2. Sonic Synergy was the prototype name given to Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. The name comes from the vertical slice demo that was shown to Sega before it was renamed to Sonic Boom. The project also went with the names Sonic Origins and Project Apollo. This refers to a set of unreleased tracks that were composed during development of Sonic 3D Blast. The songs were discovered in 2018 when programmer John Burton, who worked on the project, found an old cassette tape that was given to him by Sega. The cassette had 3 unreleased songs composed by John Sonue. John, being the Chad that he is, began uploading the songs online. In Sonic Adventure, the main antagonist is Chaos, a mutated Chao that changes forms with the Chaos Emeralds. We see Chaos 0, Chaos 1, Chaos 2, Chaos 4, Chaos 6, and Chaos 7, aka Perfect Chaos. But we never see what Chaos 3 or Chaos 5 look like, as he went from Chaos 2 to Chaos 4 to Chaos 6. Missed opportunity to see the cool designs. In the game Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, there's a store called Tech Noir which you can enter. Once inside, you can check the items behind the clerk and you'll notice a game called, Knuckles. The Echidna, Knuckles, and Knuckles. Released by Sega in 2029. Nice. Probably looks something like this. In the San Francisco Bay Area, there's an island called, well, Angel Island. As far as I'm aware, this is just a coincidence. Or is it? In Sonic Adventure 2, if you collect every single ring from a stage, you get an automatic A rank. However, there are some stages that cannot be completed like this, due to the rings being in areas that are impossible for the player to reach. Tales Get Strolled is a webcomic created by DeviantArt user Laserbot in 2011. The comic tells the story of a war between trolls and different characters. It doesn't just include characters from Sonic, but also Looney Tunes and Sesame Street. The story is silly and stupid, but really engaging, and it really leaves you wanting more. Apparently there was a trend around of people drawing Sonic stuff in MS Paint with Christian quotes. That's crazy. I mean, if you like Sonic, you might want to seek some salvation for your soul. The stage Final Judgment from Sonic Forces takes place entirely inside of a base, without the player being able to go outside. Which is weird because if we manipulate the camera outside of the boundaries of the game, we can see that the stage actually has a skybox that we never see. The sky kinda reminds me of Spring Yard, to be honest. Sonic's 25th anniversary event was, something else. Audio issues riddled the cringe fest on top of a ton of other issues. If you want a more condensed version of the event, go check out this video. This refers to a Pakistani ad for a McDonald's Happy Meal that shows some Sonic handheld games. Now, the games aren't the issue, it's the f***ing commercial. Just look at it.
और McDonald's से Sega games line Tail Soccer Sonic Skateboard Rogue and Emmy Tennis Cream Puff Flower Catch Shadow Basketball Knuckles Baseball जी भरकर फिर खेलें, खूब हल्ला गुल्ला मचाएं और दोस्तों को भी बतलाएं, चलो चलकर हैप्पी मील खाएं, चलो चले मैकडॉनल्ड्स से Sega games लाएं। I'm loving it.
Well, where does he? I believe this refers to the fact that after you defeat Eggman's final machines in Sonic 2 and 3, he sprints toward his next mech, and you can chase him as Sonic, only you can't catch him. He's actually ahead of you no matter what. I mean, yeah, they kept Sonic's speed so you don't actually catch him, but that doesn't stop people from memeing it. During the development of Knuckles, Sonic Team actually envisioned him having a Jamaican accent a la Kofi Kingston. I guess the choice of his colors have something to do with that as well. A cutscene from Sonic Unleashed showed Eggman saying some stuff about Dark Gaia on his little Eggmobile and something like that. But to his right you can clearly see a Dreamcast with a controller and what it seems to be Sonic Adventure. This refers to a song by artist Cheesy Stephens that was supposed to be the main theme of the Sonic movie. The song in question is called Gotta Go Fast and it uses cues from Green Hill Zone. The song was never used in the film and it was actually replaced by the song Speed Me Up. This refers to a really blatant inconsistency with the main canon. You see, in SA2, Eggman pisses on the moon so hard that he destroys half of it. Which, rip planet, but whatever. But the thing is, the moon is seen again in following games, completely intact. According to a theory that was later confirmed by Iizuka himself, the blown half is not visible due to the rotation of the moon. Which apparently it's not a thing, as the moon always faces the Earth when it rotates, but again, whatever. Maybe it just rebuilt itself like it did in Dragon Ball. Another one of the parallels here. Now I don't know if this means to a specific character prototype or in general. Like, is this referring to Needle Mouse? Or this weird ass shadow that somehow looks like one of those I'm so badass wallpapers from the early 2000s. Or this really strange early concept for Blaze where she's all black. Or this one that looks pretty nice actually. Should have used this design for Secret Rings, I believe. Egghead is the name given to a misinterpretation of a Robotnik sprite from Sonic Mania. You just flip him up and boom, you have Robotnik's evil niece. Really cool interpretations of her spawn from this. Sega should definitely make her official. And not yeah, that never happened. This refers to the final episode of Sonic ZAM and how it teased a huge third season. After Sonic and the Freedom Fighters defeat Robotnik once and for all, his assistant shows up, gives this huge evil speech, and then we get a glimpse of this. Now who or what is that? We never know. Well, actually we do, as according to writer Ben Hurst, those eyes belong to Nogus, a powerful sorcerer that was trapped inside of the Void by Robotnik. Of course, all of this is outside knowledge, but people who watched this back then had no idea why the show suddenly stopped, which sucks. Not too sure, but I think this refers to a species that was going to be featured in Sonic Extreme. The MIPS are... Apparently their name MIP is an abbreviation for million instructions per second. When Sonic Mania released on PC, people quickly realized that the game had a nasty disease. This made the game unavailable to be played offline, which, what? In 2019, the DRM was completely removed from the game, which, thank God. Sonic 06 is an Xbox 360 Platinum hit. Why? Well, while the game was complete ass, it sold like crazy. That's it. Simple. Chao in Space is a series of in-universe films. In SA1, SA2, 06 and other games, you'll see posters around advertising the films. Chao in Space 2, Perfect Chaos Strikes Back, and not to Star Wars, and Chao in Space, The Search for Tikal, not to Star Trek 3, Search for Spock. Apparently they're also PG-13, so expect at least one F-bomb to be thrown around. In 2019, a fully animated short film was uploaded to the Sonic YouTube channel called Chao in Space, and it was awesome. This is a line from Knuckles' theme, unknown from ME from SA1, and that's just that, he doesn't chuckle. I mean, even though he does, f***ing liar. This line became sort of a running joke in the community, referenced in a bunch of other places. However, I would argue that the fact that the song refers to Knuckles as a porcupine would be more meme material. Another filthy lie spewed by the Knuckles team states that he's not afraid of anything, which is again a f***ing lie. During the King Boom Boo fight in SA2, Knuckles says in a frightened voice,
"What the... ghost?"
Which sounds pretty suspicious, Knuckles, not gonna lie. There's also a clip of him saying this line in a more, should I say, scared way?
What? A ghost?
He also seems to be afraid of ghosts in Sonic Heroes. Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2, by the time they released, were viewed as amazing, groundbreaking games. Several years later, they were hated because mod-dated gameplay, but now they're rightfully loved again. But seeing how these are some of the most successful 3D Sonic games, one might wonder, why not make a Sonic Adventure 3? I mean, it just makes sense, but it never happened. And no, 06 is not SA3. This never going to happen game kinda reached meme status, kinda like Half-Life 3. This refers to... well, just watch it.
Now, before we conclude, Mr. President, we have one more question from Twitter. It asks, there are concerns over the safety of America's cities ever since the space colony's attack on the moon. The tweet continues, what do you have to say about the theft of dangerous artifacts that could cause attacks like this to happen again?
You mean the Chaos Emeralds? I'm going to assume you mean the Chaos Emeralds, because if that's what you're concerned about, I've got one of them right here.
Chaos Emeralds! Mr. President, put your hands up and turn around slowly.
Chaos Control!
Oh my god!
Sonic Edusoft is an unreleased game for the Sega Master System. It was supposed to be an educational game, released, funny enough, in 1991, probably alongside the original game. The game was discovered after a Wikipedia article about it was created in 2006. After some words from one of the programmers, the game came to the attention of Sonic Retro in 2008, and for some reason it's only playable on certain emulators. The developers behind this dead game is Tiertex, British developer behind some sport games from the Genesis, and... there's a secret Easter egg in Sonic City's Wacky Workbench. If you're in the past and go to this specific spot and jump into a wall, you'll find a secret room that has an interesting looking angel statue that lets a fountain of rings flow. If you return to the same spot in the bad future, you're met with an Eggman statue. Some might consider it an upgrade. I guess this has something to do with the fact that Super Sonic has quills upwards, just like Shadow. But as far as I know, this is not true. This refers to the Sonic X promo pilot that was shown to the staff before it became a full-on anime series. The design of the characters are pretty on point to the final ones, but the setting is completely different. For one, it seems to take place in Sonic's world, as we see other animal people. Also, the city where this takes place seems to look a little bit more futuristic. It's a pretty interesting watch. The whole thing is up on YouTube to check it out, and don't worry, there's no Chris. Sonic Parents, Vanilla's existence proves that yes, sex is a thing in this world and all of these critters have to come from somewhere. Sonic Parents have been the focus of several adaptations, ranging from comics, TV shows, and such. We have Jules Hedgehog, Sonic's dad, who according to the Archie comics was a member of the Royal Army before being mortally wounded during the Great War. He then gets roboticized to save his life. Sonic's mom, Bernadette Hedgehog, was the student of Nate Morgan. Who is Nate Morgan? This guy. And Charles Hedgehog, who was Jules' brother. But that's just laying the basics. There's tons of stuff to go over with these characters. But since the pandering and how we don't really focus on the Archie comics all that much, all of this has become pretty underground. Queen Alina Hedgehog is the mother of Sonic, Manic, and Sonia from Sonic Underground. Yeah, it's its own universe, so there's no Bernadette here. After her kingdom was overthrown by Robotnik, she had to leave the kids behind. But as they grew up, they made a vow. Their mother will be found. Except she wasn't. Show was cancelled, they're all dead. Next!
This refers to a typo in a game manual, wrongly stating that Rushi's a cat. Sadly, that's all I could dig up. Which manual says that? I don't know.
This refers to Spinball Whizzer, a German-made ride that is located in Staffordshire, England. The ride was made available in 2004 and started a partnership with Sega in 2010, changing its name to Sonic Spinball. The cards also became Sonic themed, with a Sonic, Tails, Amy, Knuckles, and Eggman card to go along with some sick Sonic jams in the background. This partnership ended in 2016, with the ride returning to the Spinball Whizzer name. As I stated before, one of the ways to get a perfect round in Sonic Adventure 2 is to collect every single ring in an action stage. But in Shadow's White Jungle, this is impossible, as around 287 rings from the total 462 are unobtainable. Why? Well, the rings are in the stage, but they are in unreachable areas. As the stage tends to slope downwards, you cannot get to the rings above. You can, however, hack your way around and get the perfect, if that's what you want, you fucking cheater. But the thing is that if we align the pathing of the rings, speed boosters, and platforms with Green Forest, we'll see that it's a match. That's because it seems the White Jungle was an early version of Green Forest, from an earlier build. So, why not remove all of this so we don't have to get 462 rings that we can't even collect? Well, because
I just don't have the time.
To promote Sonic Heroes, McDonald's actually launched a series of Sonic LCD games. No, not those. Not yet anyways. But they also made a special version of Shadow and Omega Hockey, one that was pure silver. If you pull the silver edition from your Happy Meal, you'll be eligible to win a GameCube, Sonic games, or even some cash. But no one ever came forward with the game. Something that led to some people believing that the games were never actually made. It wasn't until YouTuber L Supersonic Q uploaded a video talking about the mystery, and a viewer sent him an email with an image of the game attached. The game exists, but this is the only one that has surfaced online. You can check this video here for more information. Hard Times is a 1982 unreleased song by the Jetsons. The song is pretty dang great, but if you hear it closely, you'll find out that it sounds very familiar. That's right, this is the sound that was used for Sonic 3's Ice Cap. A pretty fitting conversion, I might add. Now, why is this a thing? Well, the Jetsons' keyboardist was none other than Brad Buxer, who worked on music for Sonic 3, and also worked for this other music guy, I don't know, some indie dude. Sonic X Season 3 or Series 2 or the Meta-X saga was the weird, barely promoted continuation of Sonic X. After TMS released all 52 episodes and didn't announce another season, people thought that that was it. However, production sketches and character sheets began to surface online. But since neither Sega nor TMS announced anything, people dismissed them as a hoax. Boy, were they surprised when all of a sudden new episodes showed up. Not in Japan though, for some reason. To celebrate the release of the Sonic movie last year, the entire series began rerunning in Japan, including, for the first time, Season 3 The Meta-X Saga, even though it already had a dub from back then. Sonic 3 Blue Sphere special stages had the caption "Get Blue Spheres" when you start them. But during development, the text read, "Oh, Sega, you horny bitches." In Sonic Adventure 2, during the Egg Carrier segment, you'll come across some capsules with robots. One having Metal Sonic and the other one having this mysterious silver mech Sonic. I don't know if this is the original Silver Sonic from the second game, but we never see it again. And it does nothing in Sonic Adventure. People speculated that the Time Eater, one of the main antagonists from Sonic Generation, is in fact a reborn Mephiles. Since he got erased from the timeline, and the Time Eater, who has some similarities with Solaris, it's also responsible for eating time, it's not too crazy to assume that the two are connected in some way. This was never confirmed though. The president has a picture of Sonic and Shadow on his desk, and that's quite funny. In the intro to Sonic the Fighters, Dr. Robotnik is misspelled as Dr. Robotnik. Literally unplayable. In the base game, Donkey Kong Country 2, there's a screen known as Cranky's Video Game Heroes, where all of your DK coins will be counted and determine if you're fit to be part of the podium. Here we see Yoshi, Link, and Mayro, but if we look below, we'll see a trash can with the words No Hopers. And right next to it, we see Earthworm Jim's gun and Sonic's shoes. This is a clear insult to Sega. Again, this was 1995, the companies were still at full war. As if Sonic 06 needed more reasons to show up that it was rushed as hell. Just like Oblivion, Sonic 06 has some voice acting mistakes in the game. Just listen.
Agent Shadow, E123 Omega has engaged Mephiles. Head to the Wave Ocean, head to Wave Ocean. Agent Shadow, E123 Omega has engaged Mephiles. Head to Wave Ocean immediately.
They just didn't get anything right, did they? Apparently there's the theory that the whole thing about Sonic Forces being dark and gritty, with lines like Sonic was tortured for months and Tails losing it, were all lies. Most of those lines aren't even in the original Japanese version of the game. They just played with people who wanted an actual darker take on the franchise. Irish the Hedgehog is a real canon character as of 2020. Back in 2019, the Sonic Twitter posted this picture of Seamus for St. Patrick. One of the comments was from popular YouTuber Jacksepticeye asking if he could voice Irish the Hedgehog. To which Sega responded, yes, but we need to create him first. And they did. A year later, they uploaded this really funny 1-minute clip with some sick artwork by Mark Hutchins, some sick music from Hyper Potions, and some unknown Irish slang spoken by Mr. Septiceye. Just awesome. This refers to an infamous panel from the Archie comic series, issue 134 to be exact. Sally asks Sonic to rule the kingdom with her while their folks are on vacation. Sonic says no because he wants to fight the Egg Boy, argue starts, and then... I'm not too sure what it means by shipping wars, but I guess it has something to do with people wanting Sonami or Sosali, Sonali, something, I don't know, I don't care about ships. In the Japanese version of Sonic City's Metallic Madness, Bad Future, the lyrics go a bit too hard. They say things like, Sonic, dead or alive, you're mine. You can't do anything, so don't even try. And don't do what Sonic does. Jeez, this stage really hates you. And it's kinda true. I mean, if you hear this Bad Future song this far into the game, you'll most likely get the bad ending. In Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and Sonic City's Japanese box art, there are some weird flavor texts that, for some reason, go really deep. To live a life of power, you must have faith that what you believe is right, even if others tell you you're wrong. The first thing you must do to live a life full of power is to find courage. You must be ready to reach beyond the boundaries of time itself. And to do that, all you need is the will to take the first step. That's for Sonic City. Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, they have this text. Don't just sit there and waste your precious time. When you want to do something, do it right away. Do it when you can. It's the only way to live a life without regrets. Nice, yeah, I always wanted to get my life lessons from Sonic box art. Ice cream company Blue Bunny is responsible for some of the most atrocious ice creams of all time. They released this Sonic ice cream with gumball eyes, but for some reason they always f*** up the blazing of the eyes, leading to abominations like this. Apparently, way before the Sonic movie ever released, and I mean when we barely had any information about it, Yuji Naka asked if he could cameo in the movie, something that never happened in the end. When the Sonic movie released, it wasn't only a movie. It was toys, it was food, it was drinks, it was a friggin' book. There's a lot of extra stuff that released to promote the movie. It's actually pretty crazy. Sonic City is remembered for its incredible FMV anime opening. Oh, and there's a game there somewhere, I don't know. Toei Animation was the company behind the legendary intro. You know, the one responsible for one of the best animes of all time. Years after the fact, this particular look and design of Sonic was known as Toei Sonic. That's just what it was called. This was until Studio Junio, who was one of the contributors of the animation of CD, was revealed to be the studio behind the iconic design, and people had to accept the fact that the name is, and always was, Junior Sonic. However, since it's been so long since people have been calling it Toei Sonic, it's pretty unlikely that the original name would stick. Yes, it's true. Sega wanted a Formula 1 game to compete against PlayStation's Formula 1. The team developed an engine and the assets. However, due to the death of Sonic Extreme, Sega needed some sort of Sonic game for the main powerhouse of a console. So they scrapped the Formula 1 theme and slapped Sonic on it, and there you go, you're golden. They still didn't win. Not 100% sure about this one, but I think it has something to do with the statue in Station Square. First of all, the statue is based off Colonel Sanders, founder of KFC. In Sonic Adventure, there's a girl who tells you not to throw the statue into the water. This is a reference to a Japanese urban legend. In 1985, after the Hanshin Tigers won the Japanese baseball championship, celebrations went a bit too overboard. They grabbed and threw the statue to the Dotonbori River. After that, the Tigers went on to lose 18 years straight. After all those seasons, the statue was recovered and it seems to be around the area to this day. Sonic Jam for the Saturn was a pretty solid compilation, but it needed more shit. Enter Sonic Jam for the Gamecom, a system that's barely a system. For some reason, Sega outsourced someone to port Jam to this thing. First of all, it uses Sonic R's artwork, why? Second, Sonic Jam's supposed to be a compilation of classic Sonic games. This thing only has Sonic 2, 3, and Knuckles, and saying that it has those games, it's been extremely generous. Other than the fact that the game sucks, the game's great. Not too sure about this one. Does it have something to do with the specific concept art of the game where they were trying to lay the final design of Mother Sonic? I mean, we see a little elongated Sonic without his green eyes, but not too sure though. This was a recurring joke in the Cybershell community. During his Sonic 2 playthrough back in 2008, he said that he would specify some extra trivia in his Sonic 2 bonus video. But for years, no bonus video was to be found. It wasn't until 2017 where he finally uploaded the bonus video, laying this joke to rest. He can't. I think this one refers to the Tails campaign. After you beat Eggman and finish the game, you return to Station Square and people around you will have unique dialogue praising you. This was a 2013 fan film made by Blue Core Studios. It's not great, but it's a fan film. It's made with pure love. They actually managed to get Jaleel f***ing White as Sonic. That's insane. We also have cameos from James Rolfe and Doug Walker. Sonic Omens is the continuation of last year's Sonic 2020. It's a fan game made by Ouroboros Studios and it looks quite nice. The graphics look good, it has cutscenes. Yeah, that's it. The game had a lot of controversy after its release, when the devs started using their Patreon to help fund development of the game, which is a huge no-no if it's a fan game. It's a huge topic, I recommend you go read up on it. Apparently Sony threatened Sega to release a PS2 port of Sonic Heroes, otherwise they'll be barred from releasing any Sega game on the system that killed them. Hey, maybe they made that version crap as a revenge. Some people believe that the Game Grumps, a famous Let's Play YouTube channel, suck at Sonic games on purpose, and then complain that the games are bad. I kinda see how this can be a thing. I remember around mid-2010 when their playthroughs were going out and people started hating Sonic, more than usual, all of a sudden. Especially the adventure games. I credit that to these guys, they kinda kicked Sonic while he was down. And they also had millions of followers backing what they were saying. In Sonic Heroes, if you play as Team Dark, go to first person mode and look at Rouge, she will return the look and do a little wink. Just please don't act up. Super Sonic is this ultra powerful being infused with the infinite power of the Emeralds. Is there a reason why a big arms can just grab him and slam him down like it's a basketball? Hell, Knuckles can do the same thing. In episode 11 of season 19 of The Simpsons, there's this sign that reads Sonic the Hedgehog says, "Wait till marriage." The image also shows Sonic proposing to Amy. Some people took this as the writer supporting the ship's on Amy.
Tectoy is a Brazilian toy and electronics company that had a big role in popularizing the Sega Genesis during the 90s in Latin America. They were the only official retailers of Sega stuff. Thanks to them, we had a lot of Sonic stuff around. I actually had Tectoy's Sonic 2 on the box. I mean, I don't have it with me right now, it's back at my folks, but I have it. They're also known to port some really sick games for the Master System, like Mortal Kombat 3. Couldn't find a lot about this, but I guess it's kinda self-explanatory. I mean, here's a skid sound from Outrun. And here's a skid sound from Sonic. Sonic Gather Battle is a fan game made by Lamina Dan in 2014 for the Sonic Amateur Games Expo, or SAGE. It's a pretty fun Sonic battle game with custom sprites that look pretty good. But apparently too good for the creator. Lamina was so proud of their sprite work that they actually added a DRM that acted like malware. This caused a massive backlash against the creator, who was banned from SAGE. If you want more information, you can check out my video about the dark side of the Sonic fandom. Rather than an actual plot, this is a fan theory about how the bad future of Sonic City and Metal Sonic imply that the Metal Sonic we've been battling is in fact a roboticized Sonic. From another reality. It's a pretty big theory with a lot to unpack, so if you're interested, I'll link you this video below so you can check it out. In Sonic Heroes, the best character of the series, Omochao, gives you tips and some random trivia, like this bombshell.
Did you know the doctor's mustache is fake?
Come on, this isn't real, Eggman would never lie. In earlier builds of Sonic Unleashed, while Sonic transforms into the Werehog, we managed to get a glimpse at Skelly Sonic. Real spooky. Wonders of the World was supposed to be Sonic's first movie that was envisioned all the way back in 1993. The project was supposed to be an MGM production with the script handled by Richard Jeffries, who also helped write some shit. The movie also was supposed to be like any other 90s Magic Kids movie, with Sonic coming to the real world and befriending a kid. It's like Kazam all over again. But for some reason MGM backed away from the production and the movie was swiftly cancelled. We're not quite done talking about Sonic movies. Sonic Armageddon was another cancelled film, but this time centered around the cancelled 1993 Sonic Saturday cartoon and comics. The one to conceptualize the new Sonic movie was Ben Hurst, writer of the show. He then received a call from who wanted to share ideas for the project. Then proceeded to drop Hurst and go ahead with his own idea for a Sonic movie. Thus, Armageddon was conceived. This movie would have been a darker continuation of the show, having Planet Movies destroyed and showing that the robotization process is terrible. The movie, of course, was never made. Why? Well, we don't really know, but claims that it was due to a massive corporate upheaval. For some reason, the Latin American dub version of Sonic ZM and Adventures of Sonic, Tails is a girl, going by the name Vivi instead of Miles. Why was this done? Well, no idea. My guess is that the early designs of Tails had a more feminine look. The weird thing is that a lot of people who grew up with this show believed that Tails was a girl for the longest time. It wasn't until the dub of Sonic X when Tails was finally portrayed as a male. Yes, he is. Like most games, Sonic Adventure 2 has a test level within its code. Places like this usually have a bunch of random objects and platforms to test out physics and gameplay mechanics. They're also completely sealed away from the main game, only being accessible through hacking or glitching. Early in development of Sonic 2, the concept of time travel was considered, just like in Sonic CD. The thing is that both Sonic CD and Sonic 2 were developed around the same time, so no wonder the teams shared some ideas around together. The concept of time travel for Sonic 2 was retained for a little bit at least. For example, Hilltop was supposed to be the past version of Emerald Hill. This is noticeable due to the reuse of assets like the floor sprites. In 1997, Sega World Sydney opened its doors. It was an amusement park filled with Sega magic. Sadly, due to financial difficulties and mismanagement, the park closed down in 2000, having all of its decors and other neat goodies auctioned off. One of those items was the Sonic and Sally statue. Fast forward to 2018 and the statues were found in a junkyard, in deplorable state. There have been many attempts to have them restored, just like the other Sonic statue, but for some reason the owner of the junkyard straight up refuses to sell them off, or to let people touch the statues. Why? I don't know, maybe he's a hoarder nutcase. The statues are still in the junkyard, withering away with each passing day. In issue 11 of the UK Sega magazine, there's an article claiming that Sonic & Knuckles had a secret character called Rankles the Otter. A green Knuckles. Hey, just like Knuckles. And whoever finds it first and sends evidence will win £1 million. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, were they surprised when someone actually found the green Knuckles? Once they received the letter, they had to come forward with the truth. Rankles isn't real. This green Knuckles is nothing but a glitch. This refers to the completed beta footage of the Shadow the Hedgehog intro. It's the same length as the official one, but some scenes are rearranged, making them make sense. You also see some graphic depictions of the soldiers dying and some extra scenes as well. We're still horny, it seems. This one refers to a quote spoken by one of the members of Oni Plays during a playthrough of Sonic Adventure 2 and how Rouge has a fully rendered coochie. Sonic 3 Hacked Cartridge is a creepypasta by BlueK001 and published in 2014 to the Some Ordinary Gamers wiki. I know, Sonic creepypasta sounds the scariest, but this one is actually pretty well written and spooky. I'd recommend you check it out. I'll link you an old Muda video. If you've ever been at a gas station getting some snacks, you might have heard the ring sound you've been hearing all throughout this entire video. Now, why the hell is this a thing? Well, all because of a partnership between Sega and a pachinko company Sammy, Sega Sammy Holdings. This partnership allows Sammy to license some goods produced by Sega, like the ring sound to Gilbarco Vider Root, provider of payment systems like cash registers. This one refers to a theory that indicates that Sonic Boom takes place in a post-apocalyptic world. This is due to the fact that we see a lot of ancient technological stuff around, like robots and such. But the island where everyone inhabitates looks pretty tropical and deserted, almost uncharted. The pilot to the animated series The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog is a 7-minute log pilot to pitch the cartoon to networks. The pilot features Jalil White, Jim Cummings, and Gary Owens. It has no music or sound effects. The pilot was shared by Midnight and posted on YouTube by Dan Bariano. People focus so much on the Archie comic series that they didn't realize that there are a few Sonic mangas out there. This one specifically, Shogakukan Sonic as it's called, was published in 1992 until 1994 in Shogakukan Study magazine and Besatsu Korokoro comics. While it is loosely based on Sonic, it shares close to no relation to the plot. In fact, Sonic is kind of a secret identity of Nikki, who can transform into Sonic. We got a Tails, we got an Amy. It's a pretty strange interpretation, not gonna lie. Apparently this refers to one of the mandates from legal case that Sega started to enforce with the franchise. One of these mandates orders that Sonic characters aren't allowed to show too much emotion. Why? Not too sure. Let me know. According to the Sonic 3 manual, any glitch or bug you encounter throughout the game is not a mistake, it's actually another trap laid by Robotnik. That sneaky bastard also messed up with the code. As a kid, I distinctly remember getting stuck in one of those diabolical traps. For the 2001 Tokyo Game Show, Sega decided to unleash this cursed image upon this land. Legit, this is never leaving me now. In Sonic 1's title screen from the Genesis, you only see the logo and nothing more. Hit start and off you go. But apparently there is a press start button hidden in the game, something that was seen previously on earlier builds of the game. So why is it not in the retail version? I'm no expert, but apparently it has something to do with a programming goof. After the Sonic Team logo shows up, the game doesn't free enough memory for the message to appear. I mean, it's there, but it's invisible. Wayne's World is a 1992 comedy film starring Mike Myers and that guy from Master of Disguise. There's a specific scene where you can see a news broadcast showing footage from Sonic 1. Since filming of this movie took place in 1991, before the release of the original game, what we're seeing here is 100% beta footage. Why am I so sure? Well, if you squint your eyes a little bit, you'll notice our little friends, the UFOs in Marble Garden. There's also footage of Starlight Zone. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a comic series that was turned into a movie and eventually a video game. A pretty fun beat 'em up actually. The game released in 2010 digitally for the Xbox 360 and PS3. However, in 2014 licensing for the game expired, causing it to be delisted and virtually unplayable for years. It wasn't until 2020 when Ubisoft announced that the game would get a re-release and a limited edition physical one too. And on the cover of the game you'll notice a very familiar pose. During Planet of Sonic Adventure 2, one of the ideas the team had was to have branching pathways in the story mode. One of the examples they gave was of a submarine sinking. The team wanted to give Sonic the chance to take the sub to safety or escape and let it sink. Obviously, this never happened. Jimmy the Motorbog is the badnik that accompanies Heavy Rider from the Hardboiled Heavies. What you might not know is why is it called Jimmy. The name comes from Polygon Jim, a member of the Sonic hacking community who created awesome hacks like Motorbog the Badnik in Sonic the Hedgehog. Sadly, Jim passed away in a car crash in 2013. Real nice of the Sonic Mania team to add this little Easter egg. I don't know if this is talking about a specific bumper or not, but the CW's Toonzai blog had a few bumpers featuring scenes from Sonic X, and a sick shot of Sonic with soap shoes. Yuji Naka has a YouTube channel where he shares short videos about him walking around attractions, flying drones, and just having a good time. The channel has about 400 subs, so go show some love. Sonic DS was the name given to a demo shown at E3 2004. As the name suggests, this was to be a Sonic game for the Nintendo DS. The title was just Sonic DS, and the gameplay had you move Sonic around with the stylus to reach max speed. Not much else really, this game never actually happened, and in its place we got a little game known as Sonic Rush. Alright, we're doing this one then. Top 10 Hottest Sonic Chicks is a video by Dylan Guptill. The video was an honest-to-god attempt at making a hot Sonic characters list. My god. The video was mocked relentlessly by the community, and it has reached peak when the channels like Game Grumps parodied it. The video is now taken down. You've all heard this before. Wanna know where it originated from? This dates back to 1983, to the earliest known use of the jingle. It was used for a Sega SG-100 ad. After that point, the jingle was heard in almost every single Sega ad, and of course, all the classic Sonic games. Sonic 06 has a mini-quest called this. The objective was to break these boxes. Inside you'll find either rings or death. Why is this a thing? This refers to a couple of Japanese ads for Sonic Adventure. They feature plushy Sonic dying a lot for some reason. One shot was taken during a flight above the Amazons, where they throw a Sonic plushie. It is very unlikely that they went back to get it, so there is a real chance that that prototype plushie is still in the Amazon jungle to this day. In Sonic Adventure 2, during Cityscape, you may come across this sign that says playing SA2 is good, or something like that, signed by the Anti-XXXXXX2 Foundation. If we remove the X's with Sony PS2, we get this nice little anti-Sony sign. This was most likely done as a jab at Sony, since the Dreamcast was about to get murdered by it. Sonic the Hedgehog, the album, not the game, was an album released in 1996 by Arcade Music Company. It has several songs that use original tracks from the game, as well as original songs like They Call Me Sonic. In Sonic 3 Sky Sanctuary, you have a nice little cutscene to start the stage. Knuckles then extends a bridge for you to continue the level and stays all exhausted. However, if you stand in this specific spot and press down, he'll do this. What the f***, man? This was popularized by YouTuber Cybershell in 2017, and I'm not gonna lie, my mind was blown. I played this game for 25 years and I had no idea this was a thing. Everything felt fake, nothing was real. Sonic Dash is a mobile game released in 2013 and still being supported. The game is an endless runner where you play as Sonic, Sonic, and Sonic. The game is also known to occasionally do crossover with other franchises. One of which being Bongo the monkey from Danimals. This was US only. Pancrase Hybrid Wrestling is a Japanese wrestling / mixed martial arts promotion that, for some reason, sponsored the game Shadow the Hedgehog in 2005. One of the events actually had a giant shadow printed on the canvas, and the man himself giving out awards. That was one of the events. Another one was a gaming convention in Sydney that had a match between Sonic and Mario. I wonder who was the heel. In Sonic R's prototype, we can see that Amy's car model is way more detailed and it has a buzzsaw for some reason. The Sonic OVA has a sound that you might recognize. This refers to the intro of Sonic the Fighters. They have 8 fighters, but they also wanted to include the Chaos Emeralds. The problem is, there's 7. So f it, let's just add an 8th one for no reason. Why do this though? Why not create a new MacGuffin? You've done this before with the Time Stones and the Chaos Rings. 8 Emerald my ass. I think this refers to the branding of Sonic games during the early 90s, till 1998. Before the release of the first game, Sega wanted to trademark Sonic, but the application could have taken up to 3 years, and it would have been likely they lose the trademark to Taito on their Sonic Blastman series. To avoid any issues, Sega trademarked the term Sega Sonic and used it in several projects, Sonic the Fighters being the final one. Climax Studios, developers responsible for Silent Hill, pitched a Sonic game for the PSP titled Sonic the Shadow World. The game was never picked up and it was scrapped entirely. We do know some details about the plot. Apparently it was going to retcon Shadow's origin, saying that he was from the Shadow Dimension, where everything is dark and on fire. Kinda like Link to the Past Dark World. One of the reasons why it was not picked up was because it would change Shadow's origins. Which is kinda weird, really. I mean, they didn't care that Sonic 06 changed Blaze's backstory. Why now? In the Japanese version of Sonic 1, there are some hidden credits during the Sonic Team logo. If you press this during the intro and then do this, the screen will turn to white and you'll be able to see these credits. According to Naka, this was done without Sega's knowledge, as at the time developer credits were prohibited. Dynamite Dogs is a 1988 arcade game developed by Sega AM2. It was about 2 dogs who have to save a princess or some shit. You might also recognize the design, as it was repurposed for being the Dynamite. That's where he gets his name. But is he the same dog from Dynamite Dogs? Are the 2 universes connected? Does Sonic has a dirty Easter egg on the credits? Actually, I don't wanna know. In 2014, an archaeological discovery was made, an important one at that. This set of holographic labels for Sonic 2 were shared online. It wasn't until people began coming forward with information about them. Apparently, this was going to be the original labels for Sonic 2, and it was actually seen in some beta cards. However, production of the labels would have been too costly, so they were scrapped in favor of regular ones. In 2019, our lovely boy tweeted out a few story ideas he had during his time as a Sonic comic writer. One story he couldn't tell was about Sally losing her... real class offenders. Sonic CD 510 prototype has a tech demo for special stages where terrain and graphics are all there, but there are no UFOs around, since it's also unplayable without hacking. Not much can be done, but a flashing line of text will pop up from time to time. The text reads, "The programmer has a nap. Hold out, programmer." The Spanish opening of Adventure of Sonic is very different from the American one. Instead of going for a cartoony, lyricless tune, this one goes for a slower, calm song with vocals. This song was later replaced for the original one. One little thing to notice is that this song is identical to the Italian opening of the show Widget. You heard about the Archie comics, you heard about Sonic the comic, you even heard about the Sonic manga. But how about Sonic Adventure? This was a French comic that ran only in 2 issues in 1994. Mostly based off Sonic 3, the comic features Sonic, Tails, and Amy, of all people, fighting against Robotnik in Angel Island. The strange thing is that while the comic takes place in Angel Island, Knuckles is nowhere to be seen. In fact, the entire Echidna tribe is here. Kinda feels like an alternate reality where they weren't wiped out. Knuckles is replaced by Princess Illusion, who actually looks like Knuckles, letting me to believe that they saw the character in the game but mistook it for a girl, which was a common mistake back then. Sonic Live in Sydney was a puppet show performed at Sega World Sydney from 1997 to 2000. The show was a mix of Sad I Am and Sonic 3, with Robotnik crashing his dead egg in Sydney and eventually trying to conquer all of Australia. Other than the soundtrack reveal, which you can check out on YouTube, no footage of the show is known to exist. All we have are the songs, and they are read on their own, because while we have the soundtrack, an actual CD of the event has never been seen. Spex3 was one of the earliest Sonic YouTubers from back in the day, inspired by talents such as ABGN, and it clearly shows. Some of his typical tropes include hating Jason Griffith, his hoodie, and yelling. To be honest, this is a really big pull to dive into. If you want to watch a movie about him, I recommend this video. This refers, again, to Sonic 3 music. Many tracks bear similarities to songs by Michael Jackson. like Carnival Night and Jam and the credits theme to Strangers in Moscow. Tails Sky Patrol is a 1995 spin-off game starring Tails. The game has you flying around, grabbing stuff and defeating enemies, as games do. The thing is that the enemies look pretty strange, like they don't belong in a Sonic game. That's probably because it seems like this wasn't supposed to be a Sonic game at all. Early screens show that one of the enemies was Pete from Disney. Other characters include Miss Rabble from Castle of Illusion and the Big Bad Wolf from Silly Symphonies. Sonic the Wrestler is a mysterious wrestler who's been performing since 2007. The guy's been wrestling mostly in indie promotions, and as of 2020 he's been performing in Mexico. The thing is that no one knows who he is. Even years after, his identity is a mystery. If you want to know a bit more about it, check out this video. You remember the classic R-Tier, right? The cut lever from Sonic CD? Well, apparently there was a music track that was allegedly discovered in Sonic Retro. The song was about to be the theme of Relic Ruin, aka R2. However, this was just a hoax, since the song was actually called Take It by artist Alex Lee, who had no relation to Sonic. While this was all a hoax, the style of Alex Lee perfectly fits Sonic CD style. During a Twitter takeover in 2017, Shadow was asked this.
@Deanosaur_ asks, "Hey guys, what's Shadow's favorite anime?"
Oh, is Shadow a, what's the term again? We...
First, anime is a highly respected form of art. It was not a mistake. Second, I like the one with the edgy girl and the scissor blade.
This is now canon and you cannot convince me otherwise. The Japanese manual for Knuckles Chaotix states that Vector believes in God. In 2009, to promote Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic Knight in Training was released on the Neopets site. The game was an online browser flash animation, mostly, where Sonic stands in the middle of an isometric field getting shot by Percival, Lancelot, and Gawain. The game was taken down after the sponsorship ended. Apparently, Yuji Naka himself voiced the second announcer of Station Square train station. I couldn't find any clarifications, so I think this is just a rumor. If you have any evidence, let me know. EGG-HBC001 is the name of the first mech Robotnik uses during Sonic City. It's a very simple boss that dies in 3 hits. The name HBC001 is actually the model name of the family computer, also known as the Nintendo Entertainment System, Japanese version. Due to the boss being stupid easy, this might have been a jab at Nintendo, something Sega was very open about. Sonic for Real Justice was a Tumblr page by a group of friends who roleplay as Sonic characters with extreme political opinions. The group became pretty popular and their fallout is nothing short of an actual soap opera. For more information, check out this video. In one of the recently discovered Sonic 3 prototypes, people discovered that if you press up and jump, you'll do a drop dash looking technique, 24 years before Mania did it. The Sonic CD tech demo, also known as Sega Multimedia Studio, Sega CD, was a tech demo made for the Summer Consumer Electronics Show in 1992. The demo is a showcase of features for the Sega CD that would release later that fall. We see features such as FMV capabilities, animations, colors, sprite enlargement, etc. The demo was confused for a trailer for a new Sonic game titled Super Sonic. No other footage was known to exist until the chats from the cutting room floor got the actual CD and released it online in 2019. Orjan Ora, I'm very sorry, is a Norwegian trucking company that has Red Hot Sonic as its logo. Brazilian President Bolsonaro released a video talking about investment or something like that, and for some reason, some unexplained reason, the song that plays in the background is the instrumental version of his World. Honey P is an American rapper that worked on the soundtrack for Sonic Adventure 2, recording the theme from Knuckles and his stages. This guy is pretty erratic. During an interview in 2016, he stated that he was treated well and he was paid very well for his work in SA2. Later in 2020, he retracted this, claiming that Sega never paid him for his work. He was also involved in altercations with people from the community, not getting too into detail there. Let me tell you the tragic tale of Brasmo, a randomized SA2 child that was too powerful for this realm. Brasmo was born from a glitched seizure-inducing egg from parent Salty DK Dan. But he was just not another Shadow. He was the fastest, strongest, strangest, but he was also a champion of good, a connoisseur of races. He beat the toughest challenges and was struck down by a game crash. Brasmo had reincarnated as Classic. Though Brasmo is no longer with us, his feats of strength and speed will forever enrich our blessed hearts, for he lives in all of us. In Essay 1, in Big's house, you'll notice something particular about this rug and leaves around. They look like something else, huh? Maybe that explains why Big is so chill. Speed Highway has signs all over the place, up, down, and all around. Near the end of the level, there's this particular sign showing an unknown character. People speculated back in the day, but I don't think there was really an answer. Hedgehogs can swim. Yes, they can. However, they can also drown, as they have a lot of issues getting out of bodies of water. In Red Mountain Act 2, which, remember, takes place inside a volcano, there seems to be an abandoned prison filled with ghostly looking characters around. I mean, if your prison is inside of a volcano, I think you can figure out what happened. Also, remember that this is Angel Island. Back in the day, MTV had a segment called MTV Video Mods, where people would send music videos using Machinima. One of these videos is a call to action to vote, and you wouldn't believe who's featured in there. In 2008, a video was uploaded to YouTube of an Italian ad that promoted both the Sega Genesis and this strange Sonic pin with lights in his eyes. The commercial actually featured animation and Sonic with blue arms and the light feature on the pin. Upon being unearthed again, this ad was memed for a long time, with the Sonic blinking light thing being called Sonic Death Ray. If you want to know more about it, check out this video. Not too sure about this one, but I think this refers to a specific page of the Archie comic that implies that evil Sonic, aka Scrooge I think, here posing as the original Sonic, did the thing with Bunny. Damn it, man, who the f did this? This was an animated ad that showed Sonic and Tails mercilessly torturing Robotnik by electrocuting him with ice cream. Sonic is sick. The Viral Chow are a group of special Chow that were meant to be distributed in an event for the game Sonic Chronicles Dark Brotherhood. Becky, Farfinkel, Fimby, Pookie, and Stux. Due to poor attendance and Dark Brotherhood being a pile of ass, other than Becky, none of the remaining Chow were distributed. You can, however, use cheat codes to unlock them. You know what they say when you have absolutely no talent in video games. You become a game journalist, completely unaware of how to do any actual criticism of the medium that's directly fitting you. Because of this fact of life, we got 4 of these specimens together for a video talking about Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces releasing. And they did their job as game journalists do.
Okay. I think we're at the point where we need to admit that this was never really a great franchise. Nope. And that we keep trying and trying and trying to find this thing that was never really actually there.
Sonic was never good. Sonic was never good.
Sonic was never good.
This absolutely atrocious take was completely destroyed by the community and by the company that employed these hacks as well. My biggest complaint with this video though was that this John Arbuckle looking motherfucker said that Sonic City was better than 3! Treasure Tales is a scrapped game that would have been released for the Sega Genesis. The game was pitched by Craig Stitt to STI, the guys behind Sonic 3. However, this was as far as we got. We only got some mock screens shared by Stitt. For the look of it, and words of Stitt, the game would have been an isometric puzzle game with Tails as the main character. Man, the amount of Sonic scrap games, like even back then, is actually pretty insane, and we're not done talking about them just yet. Astropede, also known as Segapede, is an unreleased game made again by STI. Oh, the guys behind Sonic 3! Stitt was also attached to this project and shares some images and even a demo that, strangely enough, uses assets from Sonic 2's infamous Hidden Palace. The game, of course, never made it. Apparently, enemies in the original Sonic game were not badniks, but actual demons. This, of course, was scrapped. The Sonic Adventure game over music seems to have caused a lot of unsettling feelings for kids back then.
It does sound a bit eerie, but now I think it just sounds like Windows shutdown music. Cancel Sonic merch. That's it. Apparently, there was another idea for a Sonic movie flying around where he was an intergalactic criminal who ended up in possession of a Chaos Emerald, but that's all I could gather. Another one of those Sonic music CD releases in the 90s. The Sonic Dance Power Disc features a lot of songs that they actually don't mention Sonic or Sega at all. The songs in the disc range from pop music to electro. In 2019, an ex-Sega of America employee named David Javalosa uploaded several unused tracks he composed for Sonic 2 that never made it into the game. All of the songs are on his channel, and don't worry King, I'll link ya. Sonic Level Creator is a 2009 app developed by Mediatonic and released under the Play Sega web service. The game lets you edit and create your own level, but with limited resources. The game worked. I'll say this, it had better physics than Sonic 4, and that's all I can say about that. Well, I guess we're not avoiding this one. The Archie Holocaust, or as I like to call it, the Pendering. The Genesis Wave was an event in the Sonic comics that caused the deletion of several characters created by the man himself. Characters that have been established for years suddenly extinguished, but they live on in some form. They live on as a fate worse than death. In 1997, Sega released a Flash game on their site based off the special stages of Sega Genesis Sonic 3D Blast. The game looks like ass, to be honest, and it has terrible controls. Something kinda hard to mess up on this type of game. Sonic eats chili dogs, you know, made out of meat. Are you eating picky, Sonic? In E3 2018, Sega announced Sonic the Hedgehog, the toaster, a crowdfunded project that would burn Sonic into your most important meal. I want this. In Sonic Adventure Station Square, there's a bunch of stories happening. It's not just a video game town, it's a living, breathing world. One of these stories involves a poor child who's left alone around town by his gambling-addicted mother. She spends all nights at Casinopolis gambling away. As you progress the story, however, she realizes that she has a problem and gives up on the casino. Blaze the cat is present in Sonic 06, however no one reacts to seeing her around, which is pretty weird. I mean, she's literally from another dimension, why no one's questioning it? According to an interview with Izuka, the reason why no one acknowledges her is because everyone had amnesia. Really? Is that what you went for? I have a better theory. Blaze is in Silver's head. Think about it, no one talks to her other than Silver, no one ever interacts with her, she has no missions, Sonic and the others never say a word to her, come on, it holds water. Sonic Unleashed mobile port has some spikes that have skulls and blood on them. Tamers12345 is a YouTube animator that uploads really interesting Sonic related stuff. He seems to have a fascination with Sonic Underground, clearly the best one of the bunch. Data Design Interactive was a video game development team that was active from '83 to 2012. They gained notoriety in the late 2000s as they were responsible for about 80% of the shovelware that was being crapped out for the Nintendo Wii. A year ago, some people from the site Obscure Gaming obtained about 22 hard drives containing unfinished projects and demos by the company. Some include a Wallace & Gromit racing game, a 3D Zool game, and this really strange render of classic Sonic. Yeah, it looks awful, but it was the 90s, all 3D characters look terrible. Have you seen Sid? This however doesn't seem to be for a game, but for the Fleetway comics, as mail logs between the two were discovered. I think this refers to a specific manga chapter for Sonic the Hedgehog story comic. This specific story from issue 3 recounts the events of how Chuck Yeager and another fictional pilot named Henry Gordon, also known as the Hedgehog, broke the sound barrier back in 1947. Henry Gordon also had a jacket with Sonic for some reason. During the test flight, Henry did in fact break the sound barrier before Chuck, but his plane malfunctioned and he died in a blast. Chuck felt really sad that no one remembers Henry, so he would wear his hedgehog jacket in his honor. There's more to the story, but you get the idea.
Super Sonic X Universe is a Spanish Flash animation fan series of Sonic, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, and a bunch of other properties. The story is actually batshit insane, and if you thought NASA Unleashed had a lot of Dragon Ball overtones, oh boy. Sonic's voice is a mix of text-to-speech and actual clips from the Latin American version of Dragon Ball Z. There's OCs, there's sex, there's all of this crazy shit that you would expect from an insane premise. It seems to have clicked though, because episode 1 has over 14 million views. Alex Henriel was the moderator for Sonic Passion, a pretty thirsty forum about people wanting to boink Sonic, and not just Sonic. If you want to know more about it, check out my video on the dark side of the Sonic fandom. But that's only if you can tolerate my phone mic. During development of Mario Kart Double Dash, Miyamoto himself said that the team was pushing the game to new directions and that they wanted to try more crazy stuff. He straight up said that we might see Sonic as a driver. This sparked speculation that both Sonic and Tails would be in the game, however the game released with no Sonic to be found. Well, if you pay attention to the Sonic 06, and believe me, I know it's hard, Iblis, Mephiles, and Solaris are straight up inspired by Iblis, the Islamic devil, Mephistopheles, a demon from an old German tale, and also Solaris being inspired by biblical depictions of angels. The Persian opening for Adventure of the Sonic the Hedgehog doesn't use the original song, no, they created original lyrics, but the rhythm and music is lifted straight from Katy Perry's Last Friday Night. Surprisingly enough, not the biggest ripoff of that song, to be honest.
Yosh, Yosh, Yosh.
Jump Boy is an old-ass mobile game where you have to calculate your jump accurately to make it to the next platform, and for some reason, it uses the mobile version of Chemical Plant Zone as its music. Man of the Year is a short film that was added to Sonic Jam in 1996. The ending of the short teases a continuation, but no sequel was ever made. Sonic has appeared in some promotional images with characters from the giant series Love Live. In Sonic Adventure, when you're battling Chaos 2 as Knuckles, the center of the room has a weird texture of Satan. No idea why this is here, but here we are. Oh, Brazil. Apparently, echidnas have 3 dicks. So glad we don't see Hedgehog junk here. Sonic Awakenings is a cancelled Sonic game that was supposed to be in development during 2006 to 2009. But since the game was scrapped before it was announced, there's actually a debate whether or not the game actually existed. The only evidence we have is that the name Sonic the Hedgehog Awakenings was listed on the website of actor Pete Capella, voice actor for Silver. Nothing else has surfaced about this game. This refers to the theme of Sonic Adventure 2 Mad Space. If we take the numbers from the song and use them as coordinates, we'll end up in the Mediterranean Sea, just off the coast of Libya. It is unknown if this is a reference or just random numbers. Clamping Wonderland was a Japanese event that showed a collection of doujins. What are doujins? Basically parody comics of any genre. It doesn't have to be porn every time, but 9 times out of 10 it is porn. The cover of this one doujin that parodies JoJo's Bizarre Adventure features Sonic for some reason. Knuckles the Comic, spin-off of the Archie comics, has an issue that deals with the fictitious substance Lemon Sundrop Dandelion, a deadly and addictive substance. In fact, in the comics, one of Charmy's friends actually dies overdosing on it. The name is a reference to that. Eggman went a dark path and got progressively worse as games went on. In Sonic 2 he just captures animals and puts them in robots. Compare that to Sonic Adventure 2 when he wanted to destroy the world, destroy half of the moon, attempted to kill Sonic. I guess dying in 06 changed him, as he straight up sucks nowadays. This is apparently a theory about how Sonic has ADHD, and apparently, to some extent, everyone has some sort of condition. Not 100% sure, but I think it has something to do with Sonic 1's special stage.
Or maybe the game in general, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's about the special stage. These stages are pretty strange. You go into this trippy dimension with changing backgrounds and this surreal music. All mixed together feels like something out of Earthbound or Nights into Dreams. This House Has People in It is a horror short film directed by Alan Resnick and released in 2016. The short is a found footage story detailing the events of, actually, you should go watch it yourself. The short played on Adult Swim at 4 AM from March 14 to 19. The short is actually part of an ARG which takes people to a fake website of a security company, a fake TV episode of a show, and this party game called Boomy the Cat that is a clear reference to Sonic. We also get this picture. Sweet dreams. DeviantArt user Gradendine has been working for 20 years to create the perfect sex doll. A Sally Acorn doll that actually uses bones as the base. Well, not exactly. The creator explained that the bones are actually made out of wood. The sculptor is still working on the doll and shared a lot of the process on their DeviantArt. This was apparently an ARG to promote Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, where people would get kidnapped? I don't know, I couldn't find much about it. Remember that stupid ass theory about Ash being in a coma? Or the Rugrats being dead? This is kinda like that. A theory indicates that the lyrics of Knuckles' stages in SA2 tell a story about his addiction and how Eggman's a dealer and that Sonic isn't real. You know, typical creepypasta crap. This refers to the mandates that the settlement would push forward and how Sega broke them in occasions apparently. One of the mandates indicates that Sonic cannot cry or show too much emotion, something that the Sonic movie breaks when Sonic cries. In Sonic Adventure 2, right after we hear Gerald's final message, we hear a voice saying ready, followed by a gun cocking, and then we hear a gunshot. In this particular scene, we see that the camera pans around to see the shocked look of the characters. But then you start thinking, the camera was aiming straight at Gerald, and the shot was her, so it's easy to assume that everyone in that room actually watched Gerald get executed. Eggman saw his grandpa die. Two Babies, One Fox is a pornographic comic by two Ink Bunny users featuring Tails and two toddlers. The disgusting comic, apart from its absolutely revolting subject, also features cat fetish art. It's truly awful, I don't recommend looking it up. Babysitting Cream is a flash dating sim game featuring Sonic, Vanilla, and Cream. The premise is Vanilla going away for a week and asking Sonic to look after Cream. The gameplay has Sonic doing chores and choosing different dialogues and actions. All of them are bad. This game is terrible and you don't need to be a scientist to figure out where the game is going. And that is all. The Sonic Iceberg 3 and Knuckles is complete. This is probably my last Iceberg video. All of the subjects here are really obscure, but I might take a deeper look at a specific topic. I'd like to thank the creator of the Iceberg, Omega32X, who was cool enough to clear the air with some of the entries. And with that, finally, my break is over. Hopefully I'll have some time to work on more uploads from now on. I have a lot of plans for the future, and I hope you stick around. Thanks a lot for checking out the Sonic Iceberg 3 and Knuckles. Till the next time, stay safe, boys.